Welcome back, everyone. It's pretty disappointing to be here right now. Not because we lost to Michigan, which we did 52-10 this past Saturday. Ah, man. It was the way we lost and just how we couldn't do anything that resembled competent football out there for the most part. I thought about this game a long time. I was there in person. Sorry to the Michigan group. We were trying to meet up at halftime. Our Michigan partners, Hales Victor, uh, at halftime, I was trying to meet them, and I thought I messaged them to meet at our spot, but clearly I didn't have good service because when I got back, I got like instantly two messages of them telling me where to meet them, and it didn't happen. So hope they enjoyed their trip. But anyway, I sat there for every snap of that game in the open side end zone, and it just like I could not help but think about a game back from 2014. Okay, like I know this is a jump, and you're probably gonna roll your eyes at this, but just here are these thoughts that I wrote down because I thought about this game for like 2 whole days longer than I should have after it happened. And this is what I came up with. All right, so back in 2014, you're in year 4 of Jerry Kill football. The Gophers hosted a white hot Ohio State football team. They went on to be the, national champion. So you're hosting the eventual national champ. The Gophers did not win this game, but they were extremely competitive. They had an onside kick at the end to get the ball back and go tie it. They didn't play perfect. They gave up big plays, and they were out athleted in this game, which is something you got to live with as a Gopher fan when you go up against, the blue bloods of the world. You're just not going to have as many great players. And we all know that. It's not, like I said, it's not an exact apples to apples comparison, but I can't help but think, how are we not at least at that same level, or are we even at that same level as we are now? Like 2019 was great. It had some magical moments at a handful of guys that were making plays on the defense. We had dynamic receivers and a great running back room. But PJ's program since 2019 has seemed stagnant at the very least. I'm willing to give the defense a pass this year. Joe Rossi's traditionally been a great defensive coordinator. I think we can all agree on that. We have a lot of new starters on this defense, a lot of new faces, guys that transferred in, young linebackers that literally never played at this spot in these key moments last year, new D tackles up front. I'm fine giving them a pass, saying it's a down year. That's okay. You're coming off back-to-back seasons of a top 10 scoring defense, so it's okay. It happens when you're in Minnesota and don't reload consistently like those top teams. I can understand having a down year there. The offense, on the other hand, is extremely concerning and where most of my thoughts I feel like are coming from. Gophers offense is currently 128th in passing. Only 5 teams are below them in passing offense right now, and 2 of those are academy schools. You know, We're currently averaging 132 yards passing a game. We like to poke fun at Iowa's offense. Everyone does. We're the exact same right now. And it's been that way for probably the last 2 years, at least, maybe 3 years. You know, Long gone are the days of Tyler Johnson and Rashad Bateman making explosive plays happen for this offense. And I get that that's nitpicking. Like you can't always have a first round pick in Rashad Bateman, but this is the deepest receiver room total that we've seen. And PJ has said not those exact words, but hinted at, feeling the same way about the overall depth we have at receiver this year. It's kind of difficult to comprehend of where we're at right now. Um, you know, Last year we averaged 166 passing yards a game, put us at 119th in the nation. Prior to that, we were 115th. in the nation. I'm not even going back to the COVID year. I'll write that off. Whatever. There's a lot of weird factors there. Well, how about scoring? Are we scoring a lot? No. We are the 99th scoring offense right now in the country. Fourth worst in the Big Ten, which I think we're kind of lucky being only is that low at this point. We're averaging 21.7 points a game. Again, it's worse than last year. We were 73rd, averaging 25 points a game. We were 82nd the year before that. Yards a game, 113th in the country right now. Fourth worst in the Big Ten. Again, another downward trend. 2022, 79th in the country. 2021, 93rd in the country. Still bad, but this is worse. And I bring up 2021 because those years were so bad. PG got rid of his offensive coordinator. And now I know we brought back Kirk Soraka. Still wasn't great last year. He's gone now. And I'm just, you know, sitting here wondering, like, I don't think that this offense, I don't know how this offense gets fixed at this point because we can't do anything in the passing game. It's just, you know, that Gopher team back in 2014, they had the 120th passing offense in the nation, and yet they put up 24 points against the eventual national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. And before you bring up the weather, I went back and looked at that too. Because I was at that game, and I know ESPN and all those people hyped it up being like a freezing blizzard of a game, whatever. I looked it up. It was 20 degrees, little to no wind, 5-mile-an-hour gusts. Really wasn't that bad. I actually think it was windier this past game than it was on that game. So throwing conditions, I think they're actually easier back in that 2014 game. And I know it's not apples to apples. These are completely different styles of teams we faced up against. It's just, what is it going to take for PJ to realize this philosophy does not work? And it doesn't even keep you in competitive situations with these teams that you need to at least stay somewhat competitive against. I I don't get how coming off the 2019 season 4 years later now we're all the way back to what we were praising Fleck for doing much better than the previous coaching regime, which is the offense and having a viable passing attack. It's completely gone. And you have overall better players. Jerry Kill had Max Williams and the likes of KJ May, which two Gophers I'm a huge fan of. But this offense has All-American Brevin Spanford. We don't know how to use him. You have Daniel Jackson, who's a 4-star recruit. I don't know if the other regime ever had a 4-star receiver. I just, there's talent there to be used, and we can't figure it out. And I get Ethan's first year as a starter, and he played bad. He did. But he's a 4-star dual threat quarterback that a lot of teams wanted, and I just can't help but wonder, like, where is this Ethan we saw against Wisconsin at the end of last year? Is it really all on Ethan just needing to take steps? Maybe, but like, we can't do anything easy through the air unless you count that little motion play where we boot him out the backside and dump it off for 0 to 2 yards at a time. Like there's nothing easy for this offense right now. And so I'm just left wondering. I'm not calling for PJ's job, but there has to be a serious wake up call, and I think all of Gopher fans should have alarm bells on of what this offense has done. I mean, that's a 3-year trend. Like, we're not through this year, 2.5-year trend though, and it wasn't good during COVID either. So, man, those are just the thoughts I was having, I guess. Yeah, I don't get how you go into this game. You know, was it to be aggressive like the initial game plan? I'll let you guys chime in on this because we came out with 2 passes. I know pick six happened, second play of the game. It sucked. We instantly went to just running the football, which we had more success with than I thought. I actually thought the O line played okay, given what they were up against, and you know you can only run the ball so much before like Michigan, who's stronger up front than you, just tightens down. Then you're in third and long, and they're pinning their ears back. I saw people complain about the pass protection. It wasn't great, but I don't know what more you really want the offensive line to do when the defense knows what's coming. Like, I don't know what they're supposed to do. And there were a few times where they did give Ethan a pocket, I felt like, and he either took off and ran. He was just never comfortable all night. And I know it's Michigan, but we haven't seen a viable passing attack really all season. Because that offense wasn't going to beat 95% of the Big Ten last week. I don't think the Gophers would have beat maybe anybody. I mean, we lost Northwestern. Talent wise, I think people thought they were the worst. I don't think that Gopher team on Saturday beats any team in the Big Ten with how they played. I'll turn it over to you guys. What are your thoughts about where we're at, or whatever you want to say about that last game that occurred?
Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good. Obviously, we all predicted we were going to lose, and we'd see Michigan put the stranglehold on every team they've played so far. Um, but their schedule so far, they didn't play anyone, so it was like, how do we really know what they're about? Obviously, they're going to be good. Obviously, they're going to contend for the national championship. Like, you can see that. It doesn't matter who they're playing, but you'd hope in their first, we thought maybe a test, a night road game on prime time, on NBC. Maybe we get the juices flowing. Maybe we compete for, make it close for a half, which it looked like we kind of did on paper, but we really didn't. Um, yeah, it was just like, it was so demoralizing to watch what we already expected to be a loss, maybe even a bad loss, score wise, but to basically see no there was no like fight, or there was no like competitiveness even towards the end, like even not even close to the end. It was like Michigan just did whatever they wanted, and we just kind of sat there and we're like, well, I guess we just are going to lose this game. And it was like
Yeah.
barely the end of the third quarter, which I get it. It's a tough game, but like you look at any other team, I don't think Northwestern does that. If Northwestern does that, they don't beat us. Um, and that's kind of one of the things overall that kind of really irks me. And it's not just this game too. It really goes back to every game, and a lot of the games under the PJ Fleck era is just something just doesn't look the same when you watch this team compared to every other college team. Whether it's the talent level aside, we've had good talent, we've had okay talent, we've had bad talent. It seems like the consistent thing through it all is like the quarterback never really gets the keys to the offense. He's never really in control. We rely on this simple, seems like oversimplified run game at times that it's like, all right, even if it's not working, here it comes, zone left, zone right. Like we just kind of give up, and we never find a way to get our playmakers the ball offensively. And then you flip to the defense too. I feel like we showed some physicality earlier in the year. Like our tackling was good, our D line was playing, they're bigger and stronger than everyone. But it just kind of faded throughout the season, especially that Northwestern game. It seems like it just stopped completely. Like I don't know, there's just not that spark that you see with every other college football team where it's like they don't. It's I don't know if it's a coaching thing or what, or if that's just every player they recruit is just this docile, will just roll over, like not willing to get punched in the face type player, but like it's soft is what it is. I mean, it's kind of it is every player. There's not one. I'm not saying we want guys that are dirty or like talking trash or anything, but like there's no one player that you can look at and be like, that guy's a dog and he's gonna fight till the very end of the game. Like we just don't have it at any position
Well,
on the field.
I will say I agree with 95% of what you just said there. Um, the softness, which I agree was soft. How we played, the game plan was soft. I think is what I think more, which is 100% on Fleck. Um, And I think the defense was so physically outmatched, and that's why I'm giving them. I think the defense was out talented in general. Yeah, I wish there was different things to try scheme wise. Like the completions were way too easy for them. We had no pressure on him really at all, so he had all day to throw. But I think Maverick, young linebacker, he plays hard, and I think he's going to be a very good player. So I think this defense next year will be significantly better. But you're right. There was no fight. There was nothing drawn up to kind of make something happen. That sounds so casual. Like I know the coaches weren't trying to give up these plays over and over and over again, but they didn't come out with anything unique. It looked like you said, we're just going to try and not get our ass kicked, but it got obliterated. You have four assholes now if you're this Gopher team. Like that's what happened after that game. And I just want to address this really quick because I know some people are gonna be like, "Well, Fleck is allowed to have a down year." He is. Minnesota's gonna have down years. You're not gonna constantly keep going like these blue blood programs. We know that. But if you're in a developmental year, why are you not using these, in Fleck's words, big opportunities against these big time teams that are very good, having great seasons? Why are you not using them to develop players? And here's a stat, and this was tweeted out by GoForHome.com. In the second half, the Gophers ran 27 total plays, including punts. They only threw the ball 5 times. You're down double digits.
Why are we even punting?
Yeah, well, it's just you were down. You got it to 2 scores at half with by a miracle. I mean, that was a great throw, a great catch. I don't know what the corner was doing or the safety was ever supposed to be over the top. You'll take it though. Great play. You executed on their bad defense, but he got lucky. Fleck got lucky that was even there for him. He was running down the clock before half. You're down 3 touchdowns. That is what the softness I think comes from what you're referring to. And go ahead, Shuddy. I'll let you jump into. But that part is infuriating. You're not developing anyone. Who cares? You're already down 3 scores in the third and the fourth. Let Ethan throw the ball. Let him see live reps. It's not like he was getting murdered back there. I get you don't want your starting quarterback going back there and just getting leveled. Try some slant, something. You just ran the ball and tried to get out of there without getting destroyed, and it didn't happen. Sorry, Shitty. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. I just think that kind of you both kind of touched on it. I just don't think PJ trusts in his players. That's kind of how I feel about it. And you said, Kurt, like if it is a down year this year, the players are and the big plays and the development is what's going to get us over the hump this next year. And it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Um, Ethan throws a pick six, second play of the game. Yeah, that stings, but it seems like after that, PJ just took the keys away from him and said, you know what? I'm in charge of this now. But frankly, when he's in charge and kind of putting all of his players on timeouts, the spark is gone in this team. There's nothing that seems to flow. And I think that's kind of what we saw against Northwestern. Even though we were up 31-10, it just seems like he's like, I'm going to take control of this game now. And that's kind of when everything fizzles away. And I just think that PJ, we're not a blue blood program. Like you said, Kurt, blue blood programs are going to reload and they'll be good every single year. But I think the consistency of these programs is I feel like coaches really speak highly about their players. But not only do they speak highly about them, they trust in them. You see, you know, them just doing all sorts of plays that give their stars the ball and to see what they can do. And that's something that PJ has not done. Frankly, since 2019, I guess. And it's a shame because he has brought the most talent to this program, probably that we've seen, and our recent lifetimes. But it does make me think like, man, if Jerry Kill has all these receivers in his back pocket, does he not use them? I mean, he is an old school, coach, but you said it perfectly in your opening introduction, Kurt. Those teams played hard. Like back when you had a Max Williams, or a KJ May, maybe you still ran the ball more than 50% of the times, but when you needed a big play, you go right to one of those guys and they'd make those plays for you. And I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that trust in your playmakers. And when you do give them a shot and it kind of goes wrong, PJ will just say, "We're cutting the cord on this and we're done." And I think that's just meaning you're destined to lose. And I guess in terms of, looking further down the line here, the window of opportunity for the Gophers, fellas, it's closed. I mean, at this rate, it just seems closed because you got USC, UCLA, Oregon, and then you got Washington coming. 3 which are in the top 10 right now. I mean, it's on the verge. If you keep doing this, PJ, it's on the verge of irrelevancy in the Big Ten. We did not deserve to be on the same field as Michigan on Saturday. It was a pathetic, moribund performance. There was no fight, like you said, Max. And I just think that when PJ takes takes the keys away from the players, that's something that loses the spark. You're kind of at the mercy of whatever he says. And I feel like these players know, like, well, we're on timeout. This is sad. This is depressing. Like, it makes football not fun because you're not doing the things that you're good at. You're just running the ball down the middle. You're doing these little basic plays against a number 2 Michigan team. Credit to them. They're a wonderful team. They're great. We're not saying like we should have won this game, but to lose 52-10, to get utterly destroyed, to play like
On
you didn't even
prime
want to be
time.
out there
Like,
on primetime NBC, not going to happen now for a long time. I mean, that is just what is that's what's kind of frustrating and kind of sad, to be honest, as fans of the Gophers, to not have any sort of fight and drive. And I mean, Max, you touched on it. Northwestern down, 10-31 against the Gophers. They didn't give up. They fought for it. They made their quarterback look like a star. I mean, that's just the difference. And I think it's coaching. I think there's not a player there's not a one football player that I think that just will just give up. I feel like you need someone at the helm that says, "We are not giving up here. Let's go for it. All in. Let's do it." And I don't think we have that. And we're on year 7, and I just don't know how 8, 9, 10, or however much longer it's going to be until we see this team kind of look at higher heights.
especially with this transfer portal, like where even if you land a like highly recruited player, if you can't throw the ball, like Iowa has been a very successful program for a long time, but even if you just look at the past like 8 years, we crack jokes about their offense. They won a lot of games. They've won the Big Ten West multiple times. They have trouble getting big time receivers to their school. It's because these high school players watch what you're doing. Like, good luck, because a lot of times PJ falls back on, they're really good players. They're really good players in reference to the other team, and not that he bags on his own guys, but like he's already talking about needing NIL to keep the guys he's got. How are you going to get these high school kids to come here when you're throwing the ball up for 130 yards a game with the academy schools? Like, what incentive is there for receivers to come to the school right now? Work on your pass blocking or run blocking. Like, that's it. What Rashad Bateman was like the unicorn, I feel like, that PJ got. Tyler Johnson was a very nice leftover piece, as was most of that 2019 defense. And I'm gonna get. I feel like I can already feel it. I'm gonna get attacked for over what's the word, over loving on the previous regime. But and that's not what this is. It's just you got to adapt. Like 2019, here's the fear. Here's the fear, and I think it's becoming a reality. Is I feel like the Gophers have missed out entirely on the momentum of 2019. It's 100% gone. It was already gone, but this is just like another reminder that we missed out on a chance to separate our offense from the rest of the Big Ten West football, and now it's bad. It's better than Iowa's, and that's about it. Maybe Nebraska's at this point, but that's Matt Rule's in year one, and Iowa still wins football games. That's the problem. Like we're struggling. Um, yeah,
We might
that's
have a
how I
leg up
feel.
on UTEP, but it's close.
Yeah, there we go. And this is, no one's going to want to listen to us bemoan the Gophers, but that's just where we're at right now. And if you're PJ, here's the thing: that there's talent on this team. There's still time to turn it around. It's just, there's got to be a change in philosophy there. You got to go get it. If it's going to be a down year, it's okay, but develop your players. You know, does Ethan's a great guy and he seems all bought in, but like there's got to be some part of him that wishes he could throw the ball a little bit more. Like he's throwing what, like 12 to 15 times a game at the most for the most part, outside of that Nebraska game. But it's just, and if he's not where they're at or where they wanted him to be at, I should say, well, then you really got to look at a new offensive coordinator already because you got to get him better. He's got to see the field because sitting at that angle, I'm not saying I saw everything, but I mean, they're lined up right in front of you. It's like you kind of get to watch like from a film perspective, being right there, watching the receivers run their routes. And it was Michigan. There was some pressure on them. It looked like Ethan wasn't even seeing the field really half the time. He was like just kind of focused on avoiding the pressure, which is fine. He's young. It's a good team, but keep getting him out there. And I'm sure they're talking to him each time off from the sidelines. Work through it, point something out. Next drive, run a couple pass plays, let him try and see it again and adjust. Like I don't get it. I don't get this philosophy at all. And then he's begging for NIL money. Like how good is NIL money going to do if you're going to blow a 3-score lead against Northwestern? And that's just frustrations that I have right now with this staff. But and I'm not calling for him to be fired. I'm not saying that. You gotta make an adjustment here. Um,
Yep.
you know,
We're halfway through the season. I don't think we're Gopher fans. We love these Gophers. We want to see them be successful. I want to see PJ Fleck be successful. We do. But we just call it how it is. This is what it's looking like. There has not been, even since the game against Nebraska this year, there has not been any improvement on the season. No, you don't have to win every single game or beat a Michigan team, but it seems like we're not going to beat anyone the rest of this year. That's what it looks like. And it's a good thing that the bye week is right now because they have a lot to figure out, I think. I feel like on both sides of the ball, they need to find that
yeah,
spark and just end this season
yeah.
on a high note, frankly. And
I mean,
they can
sorry,
do
go
it,
ahead.
but they got to make it happen.
Yeah, to your point, like things are working. Like I get JJ McCarthy's a great athlete, but we had safeties and corners with a free shot on them, and they like barely got a hand on them on those runs to the outside. Like that just can't happen. That can't happen. Like just force them inside then to everyone else where the help is. It's just, oh, it was frustrating. And to your point though of how it doesn't look good, like going back to the Penn State game last year, like against these good teams, like when's the last really good team we played where we put up a fight? I can't think of it.
First half of Ohio State 2 years ago.
Right
maybe.
before when Mo went down. Yeah,
Yeah.
that probably is that is the game. And that was CJ Stroud's worst game in a Buckeye uniform, probably. So,
Right.
and he still
But
put
again,
up
that's another
good
yeah,
points.
yeah, like that's the example that we kind of reference. Like we don't expect to beat these teams, obviously. Like
Right.
we're not the nah, now I'm lashing out. We're not the Sully Scoop. We don't expect to beat
Yeah.
these teams. I love their show. I like it a lot actually. Nebraska guys, check them out. Big banner. But that game it was like holy crap, like like we're in this, like we're competing. Like this is it's a like it's
Yeah.
is unexpected. Like you hope it to be close, but you don't know what's actually going to happen. When it is close, it at least feels good. This was like, well, they're a really good team. We tried our best. Like there's just nothing.
Yeah.
It it really kind of irritates you. I know I we don't know what the coaches are like in the locker room, but it is hard when your head coach comes out and is just like, well, we'll
This is
be
a
like,
They're a really good football team.
dude,
They're the best football team I've seen in all my years of coaching. Shut up,
it's a
PJ.
rivalry game. I mean,
right? How are you not
all
mad?
week you're
How
not
is no
like
one
telling
mad?
the history of this game, what it means to the people of Minnesota to get spilled some sort of fire. I don't know. Maybe he did, but like no, we don't play Michigan every year like Iowa or Wisconsin. No, but as fans, this is a game that we love. This is
Yeah.
something that means a lot to us. And to not have that fight or any sort of desire to just give it all you got is frustrating. And
Yeah.
as a fan, that's just something you don't want to see.
The worst part too, looking at it, it is like 52-10. That's a that's an ass whooping. We kicked a 54-yard field goal and had a last second like shot play.
Yeah.
We essentially got shut out. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Well, I don't know. I will say that I meant it. We ran the ball way better than I thought we would. I thought if you were going to upset Michigan, that run game did what it was going to need to do, or what it was going to be capable of doing for that to happen, if that makes sense. But we had nothing to
yeah,
go off of that running. Like we ran for like I think like 65 yards in the first half, which I know that's not a world beating numbers, but it was Michigan who wasn't allowing that to anybody. So if you were going to pull the upset, I thought Zach Evans and company behind that O line did what it was going to need to do. Well, I should say if you were to call a game plan, how you would think and have plays to go off of that, pass plays off of that, play action, something deep. No, you didn't. And that's what's so frustrating. Is like run. He's like running the ball's working right now, so we're just gonna ride that out and see what happens at the end. And that's all we did. And at the end, you lost by 6 touchdowns, 42-10.
52.
52-10. 52. Lost by 42. And we, like you said, like no one
Uh,
was expecting a W. It was the lack of urgency, the lack of trying something to catch them off guard. I mean, what did we do to try and catch them off guard? Anything?
Throw it two
Anything at
times
all?
in the first quarter right away and then
We yeah, and
stop
then gave
from
up
there.
on it.
were
And
they surprised when we like didn't take more than one shot at the end of the first half? Were
yeah,
they
I don't know.
surprised that we were just like, no, we don't want more plays?
Maybe we ran the ball so much we lulled them to sleep. Like, oh, they're just going to run and kick another field goal here. Psych! We're going to hit Daniel Jackson 30 yards and 35 yards in the end zone. Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, let me take this time to say I'm drinking Duck Duck Go beer. Duck Duck Go beer. Wow, that's like the third time I've said that. That's the web browser. Don't drink that. Drink Duck Duck beer that supports the Gophers NIL. I went out and bought this with a full fridge of ham, so I don't want to hear PJ telling me I'm not doing my part. All right, it's good, by the way. I didn't know what to expect. I don't buy a lot of light beers. This is one you can drink a lot of. They got seltzers, also Duck Duck's vodka, Grey Goose vodka goes
Ray
to it
Duck.
as well. Great duck. Gosh damn it. This is the worst promo for the NIL ever. But it's not paid. So I don't care. As a Gopher fan, I recommend you support them because that's what I did. Even after that loss. So bought one at the game, drank it at home. I'm drinking it now, complaining about them. Cheers.
What else can we do? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Dinkytown athletes that they're partnered
Yeah.
up with.
Yep. Dinkytown athletes.
We need
They're
your
doing
help.
good work. Yeah. That's PJ's only hope. All that to be said, let's look ahead here, guys. We got a bye week. Everyone's
Perfect
gonna think
time.
we're so full of crap now. It is the perfect time. Hopefully, here's my hopes: Cody Lindenberg back, Darius Taylor back, everyone rested up, ready to go. You're catching Iowa at an opportune time because they're going to Madison this week. So if you're gonna get that pig back for the first time in 8 years, I mean, you can't ask for a better setup. They're starting quarterbacks out for the year. Not that we want to see that, but if you're trying to beat them, it helps. So it does.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, that's all I got. Let's get healthy and regroup and see what happens.
I just think at this point you're playing for pride. You know,
I don't even care about a bowl game. I don't care about. Obviously, I want to beat Iowa and Wisconsin and those guys. I want to see this team work on the things we suck at, so then we're good next year. But there's a
right?
saying somewhere from someone wise, way wiser than me. You know, I don't know what it is, but I know it's out there, and that's what we need to do is work on these things that we can't do.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, it
It's
is.
just
I mean, yeah, like we had higher expectations than everyone. Like, obviously, right? Like the
yeah,
Gopher
you're
fans are
Gopher
gonna
fans. There's
like we
there's
have their
us and
back.
what? Be honest, and this is not an insult to anybody's podcast out there, but there's us and what other fan? There's like three other fan Gopher accounts, podcasts, I should say. Like three other Gopher fan podcast. Like we are the hype crew. We are the crew trying to spread Gopher football love. So
Yeah,
yeah, our hopes are high.
we're not the Star Tribune.
Yeah,
They'd rather see this program get canceled, probably.
yeah, yeah. All right, I'm sorry I cut you off. What do you?
No, that was it. I just hope that doesn't get to them.
This is going off the rails. All right,
We're
Shuddy,
lashing out, folks. We're lashing out.
Shuddy, you're a man of wisdom. What what do you got here to just kind of give the Gopher fans feel a little bit better than maybe what I have said over the past 35 minutes?
You know, here's the thing. I feel like in the past, let's call it 10 years, this Gopher team has been through a lot, you know? And I know we kind of look forward and not in the past, but we kind of saw the Jerry Kill days. We saw what happened to him, unfortunately, having to leave for health reasons. We've seen a Tracy Clays.
I don't know why I'm laughing. Just
We've
keep
seen a
going.
Tracy Clays have a 9-win football team and get fired. We've seen the hiring of PJ Fleck with a Demery Croft to start, kind of just lose it. And then we see a 2019 team be one of the top and one of the funnest teams in the country. We've seen a COVID year. And afterwards, we've seen a team that's been kind of on a trend that we don't know where it's going. But you know what? We all still remain. And here's what I'm going to say to you all. There's 6 more games. There's 6 big games, many of the Western rivals. The West is not dead yet. There is still a chance. There is still a good chance that these Gophers have. They just have to be strong. They have to play their players. They have to be able to come in on Saturdays and play some football. And I think that they can do that. They just got to pick themselves up and play football. And if you're a Gopher fan, to all those who are watching, you know that we can do it too. So chin up and let's go Gophers. But something's got to change.
That was great. That was great. I love it. Yeah, the West is wide open, folks. Now, Scotty Putt Parlay is 0-1 since its last hit, but it's
One and
back,
one in its
baby.
last two.
Yeah, last
It's
weekend
1-1.
was brutal. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interject here, but man, I mean, college football, this kind of mayhem, unless our picks were just bad. Like, I'm talking about our money line, late
I
night
got you.
money line. That was, yeah. Miami, just pathetic. Just
Yeah,
Hey,
hey, at
talk
least you
about
we
didn't
didn't
have
do
that
I
that.
mean,
debacle.
jeez.
That was crazy. That was insane.
Uh,
Yeah, we're not there. We're not there yet. Or we won't go there. We're not going to be there. Okay, on to picks, guys. What are your locks for this week?
Go ahead, Max.
um, I guess mine is I've got Duke -3.5 hosting NC State. Duke has been good this year. Offense is good. Defense is good. NC State just had a battle with Marshall. Marshall's a pretty good Group of Five team. But even weeks before that, NC State's offense is just terrible. Their defense is average. Duke should be favored by 10. That's it. Night game as well.
All right. I'm gonna go. This one's gonna be a tough one because they play each other well. At least last year was a really good game. I'm going with my master's alma mater, Tulane, the Green Wave. They're -4.5 point favorites against Memphis, and I got the Wave. They're on the road. It's gonna be tough, but I think this team has something to prove still. Tulane. And I think they're a solid team. So I got the Wave, 4.5.
All
Like
right. I like it as well. I am not going to lie. I don't have one yet. But as I look at these lines right now, and as I continue to look at them, there's one that stands out, and I don't know if it should.
I think
TCU is hosting BYU. TCU's a 3-point favorite. So I'm not going to touch it because that seems like a trap. But what I do like is right here. I don't think Iowa's defense or Wisconsin's defense is up to the snuff of years past. The over under is 36.5. I think points are going to happen to an extent. I'm taking the over 36.5 Iowa, Wisconsin. Bet you guys didn't see that coming.
no.
I don't hate
I
that.
like it, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
I
you need
tough.
think
like the perfect game for the under.
I think Wisconsin wins like a 28-13 type game. So I guess I gave away my pick. Let's get into picks, everyone. That was the Sky U Pod parlay of the week. Pick it with us if you want to win some money. If not, don't say we didn't warn you. All right. Moving on to some big games this week, in which there are a lot of fantastic games this Saturday, especially out west. let's actually jump down and start right with it because the morning games are kind of blah to be like as far as spread goes and national impact. So let's pick Oregon traveling to Washington. Washington is a 3-point favorite at home. Max, who you got in this one? I know you like the Ducks as a secondary team. You gonna stick with them?
I am actually. I think Washington's been pretty impressive this year, but I think it'll be a close game, so I'll take the points with the Ducks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm agreeing with Max here. I think that the Ducks will win this game. They've just looked really impressive to me, as is Washington. But I think this is Oregon's year. I got the Ducks.
Yeah, I'm on the Ducks as well. Something this is probably just leftover from like years prior. I just trust Oregon's defense more. I don't know. That might be just a made up uh false hope in my head, but that's just how I feel. So I am also going Ducks as well. All right, Texas A&M is traveling to Tennessee. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite at home. Aggies coming off a tough loss to Alabama. Spencer, start with you this time. Who you got?
I got the Volunteers here. I think the Volunteers will cover this game. I feel like both teams. It's interesting. There's a lot of hype around Tennessee, and I just kind of feel, at least coming into this year, I don't know if I have that like sense of hypeness around this team anymore, but I think that come around the second part of the year, maybe it starts to get a little better for the Volunteers. So I got the orange.
Where did you say this game was at?
At Tennessee.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll probably go Tennessee too. Uh, I don't love that, but
No.
A&M kind of coming off of a. I mean, playing Alabama's tough. It's hard to say it's a bounce back because it's like you just kind of got, you know,
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm going Tennessee as well because I just think there's a little. I don't feel a great sense of morale out of A&M fans on Twitter. Not that I follow a lot of them. It just seems like they're down. And then when you're feeling bad about yourself going to Tennessee, who still got hopes, only one loss right now. I know A&M's only got one loss in the SEC as well, but it's just I don't. I'm with you guys going Volunteers. All
Doesn't
right,
it seem like Jimbo's just always on like a weird warm seat or something? Or
they're paying him so much money. I don't think they can get rid of him yet. I don't know if
right?
his buyout goes down soon or something, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like they played really well. It was a really well played game. Well, there was some. I know a lot of A&M fans upset about coaching blunders down the stretch there, but um, you know, Alabama's still Alabama to an extent, and he played close with them. They just can't piece it all together, even though he gets a lot of big time recruits there. Uh, Iowa, like we said, is traveling to Madison. Wisconsin is currently a 10-point favorite at home. They've won 7 out of the last 10 matchups. I'll go first. I like Wisconsin. Like I said, Iowa's got the backup quarterback. He struggled last week early, found it late. I started out so cold on this Wisconsin team, and I'm kind of coming around. I think they're kind of figuring it out a little bit as far as why they were the favorite to a lot of people in the West. And if they win this, it's going to be really tough to catch them in the West. But I like Wisconsin to cover that 10-point spread at home.
It's Wisconsin's 10.5 point favorites.
10-point favorites.
Boy, I'm gonna go with the Hawkeyes. I picked them, as you guys know, as the West winners this year. Um, so I got to stick with my guns. I'm going the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I think I'll take Iowa too. Just I feel like 10 points in this game is like 18 in most. Like that's the comparable Wisconsin Iowa point conversion. So I'll take the
Yeah,
points.
not bad.
But Iowa's
Not
defense
bad.
is basically going to play just unstoppable.
Yeah. All right. On NBC, USC traveling to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 2.5 point favorites at home. Tough loss against Louisville last week. Should he? You like both of these teams.
I
Who you
do. It's
got?
a battle for the jeweled shillelagh. Um, I got the Trojans in this one. Um, Here's the thing, though. Here's why I would not bet on this game. As you all know, USC's defense is like like I don't know where they are. They don't really do much. Um, I feel like Notre Dame really just needs a couple of stops, offensively, or when they're on defense against USC's offense, and then that might just be enough because USC's defense can't stop a cold. So, but I just think that this USC team's on a mission this year. I got the Trojans.
I like the Fighting Irish in this one. I'm not putting money on this game, but if I have to pick it, I'm going to take Notre Dame. I think USC seems like they played with fire the last few weeks. I know Notre Dame's coming off a pretty convincing loss to Louisville. I just think Notre Dame is going to get more stops out of their defense. So I think it's close, but I think Vegas might know something here. So I'm gonna go with Notre Dame at home.
Yeah, this one is a tough one. It's tough too, just from the timing of it. Like Notre Dame is coming off the loss, USC going to overtime with Arizona. It's like even though USC won and has been playing well, it was almost like a kind of a wake up call for them too. I think I'll take USC. I think they can just I don't know. I feel like they can just outscore anyone if they want to. Um, so I feel like they can either score by 2 possessions or just get thumped because Notre Dame is just more physical and plays better defense. So I don't know. I'll just take USC, take the couple points that they're given.
You fools! No, I'm just kidding. All right, and there's a few good night games on Saturday night. Besides this one, I'm going to list here, but we'll end it with this one. Miami, coming off that absolute debacle, is traveling to Chapel Hill, take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Tar Heels are a 3.5 point favorite at home against Miami. Man, this could have been an undefeated matchup in the ACC if not for that blunder last week. Drake May seems laser focused these past few games. Um, I think Miami is a solid team, so I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to take Drake May and the Tar Heels at home.
I'm gonna agree with you, Kurt. I think Miami is a great team too, like you said. It just seems like that blunder deflated their team a little bit. Now, obviously, we'll see, but I think just from a player's perspective, to have that undefeated, you're looking ahead to this game probably, you're undefeated, you had the game in your hands, and to lose it like that can take the life out of you. So I think that'll just carry over in this game. Drake May's been outstanding. Um, yeah, I got to go Tar Heels.
Yeah, hard to argue against all of that, but I'm just gonna. My gut says Miami. Uh, I hope Cristobal can, bring some bring some grit back and kind of, use that as motivation from last game. I don't know how. That was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. The not kneeling it and giving up the touchdown. Like that's you can't do that. But I don't know. I think my brain is saying Miami already did the Miami thing this year, so they got it out of their system. Maybe they just shocked the world and beat North Carolina, who I don't know. They thumped Syracuse and they beat us pretty decently, but I don't know. Miami's looked better than I expected. So I have a sliver of hope, but it's probably pretty stupid.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be a close game, so I don't think it's on. unreal that Miami could pull this one out. I mean, 3.5 points at home. They say home field gets you about 3 points, so they're looking like they'd give Miami like at least like a 48% chance on a neutral field or something like that. But yeah,
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Just seeing what happened. But I feel like that's always like you can't look at what just happened because that never is the case.
Well,
Rarely.
that pokes
Unless
holes
you're
in what I'm expecting for next week for us against Iowa. All right.
yeah.
That'll be another episode of Sky U Pod. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry I ranted. Thanks for staying with us if you did. And you know what? It's going to be okay. There's 6 games left. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope. And yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you next week. Previewing the Iowa Hawkeye game, we'll have on our Big Banter Iowa partner Inside the Nest. So look forward to meeting him and breaking down the game. And yeah, Skyuma, go